What up, Pod Nation? Nate here with the Podioslave podcast, here with my co-host / nerds, Tony and Anthony. How you guys doing today, man?
Who's the nerd? Who's the co-host?
We's all nerds.
Tony's
yeah,
the nerd.
we're all nerds. We're all nerds.
It's Anthony here. What's up, guys?
And I guess that leaves me. I'm Tony, and this is episode 90, right?
90. You know, and I had a little vision before we jumped on too. I feel like this is like, it brings me to that scene in Fight Club when Marla goes to the support group and she's like, "Oh, I just come for the free coffee and the donuts." It's like, we come here every week for the free nerdery within each other, but we share it to the world, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we would have been doing this beforehand, minus the recording it and putting it out for the masses, or, you know, the handful of people listening. So, yeah, I agree with you, Nate. Coming for the free coffee, coming for the free nerdery.
I thought you were going to say like 10 other different scenes from that movie. Like
he will. Like don't tempt him.
Us secretly fist fighting in the basement or something. We might argue this episode too.
I am Robert Paulson.
So this is our what? Thanksgiving special?
Yeah, post-Thanksgiving. You guys are going to hear this post-Thanksgiving, but it's the night before for us. So yeah, if you're listening to this Monday back at work, sorry. You know, we feel you. We're also back at work. Not that much fun. But you know, you've got us to listen to some arguments and some nerdery. And we've got a whole smorgasbord of it for you right now.
Yeah, kind of a spin on, because last year we did the nerd arguments at the dinner table. So we're going to do a little Would You Rather tonight. And I got a few ones. I don't know if there'll be some heated debates, but we might disagree. Nate's over there like, no, we're going to fucking disagree, man.
Yeah.
Wait till you guys see what I got going on.
Pent up nerd energy ready to go. Yeah, it's going to be a fun night. I did want to highlight, and anyone that might have missed it, episode 89, we had Steve from The Urge last week. He was gracious with his time to kick it with us. So check that out. Really cool episode, really cool guy. And maybe he will come on for a future Would You Rather.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, he was awesome. I do. You're right. That's a good call to highlight that. Steve was great. We really appreciate his time. We really appreciate our friends at The Itch also posting about it. They're from the area. They know The Urge well, being from St. Louis themselves. So props to those guys for tossing us out there on their radio show. They're back on the radio now. So good for those guys.
Yeah, man, let's pause for a second. Those guys are awesome. Like, we had them on our podcast. They had us on theirs. We went on for Jimmy Eat World episode. Then we brought them on this for a new metal episode. And you know what? They've just kept in touch since then. They're always pimping our stuff. You can't ask for much more. I mean, that's honestly a bonus of all this. Like, we never thought we'd make other podcast friends. Here we are. Those guys rule. Check them out. The It's Rock Podcast.
Yeah,
itchrocks.com, I think.
Yep, exactly. Lots of love for St. Louis. Those guys are rad, and Steve was awesome. So thank you guys. And it's like we're all coming up together, you know, in the podcast scene. So it's super cool to have community in that sense.
Absolutely. All right. We've got one kind of overarching set list item for you people, especially after Black Friday and all the music that you may have picked up for Christmas presents and Hanukkah presents for people out there. There's one person in charge of the entire music industry right now, and it's Adele, right? It's her. She's telling Spotify what to do. She's monopolizing vinyl plants. Like, there's nothing stopping Adele right now.
And you know what? I'll get this out of the way. I love Adele, man. Mm-hmm. That voice. I love how she titles the albums, where you can kind of pin it to a phase in her life. It's so simple. Honestly, could be the best voice in the game. Some of those records are all time, but everything comes with a but. She is shot calling. She's the boss. So what'd she do? She asked, before the release of this new album, she asked Spotify to suspend the auto shuffle feature for full albums. Is that right?
Yep.
And I don't know, did you guys read up about like Spotify's response and like what people are kind of putting together about this?
I just know that they were like, sure, Adele, you said jump. We'll be like, all right, how high? Let's do it. Whereas they've been less than receptive to other things in the past. So for them to be, we'll do whatever Adele wants. I'm actually kind of surprised it didn't happen earlier with somebody like her or Taylor Swift or Drake or something, you know?
Yeah. It's a slippery slope too, because who has the most power, right? When does it stop? Adele's now who's going to come next. Is it going to be Britney Spears? You know, is she going to come back out of thin air now that that whole legal battle's over and say, nope, this is how it's going to be? Who knows?
Well, the music has to be good, right? And I mean,
True.
that's the thing. The Taylor Swift records last year were great. This Adele record, by all accounts, is great. So, and they're going to do massive numbers when they drop. I'm sure that whatever the next thing Taylor Swift drops will just shatter whatever numbers were there previously. So the music has to be good. And if it is, or if it's going to, it doesn't necessarily have to be good. Is it going to be something that's going to get streamed a million times? Right. Spotify will do whatever you ask of them.
And that's what they said on Twitter. They responded, anything for you or something like that. And then what I was kind of getting at is they said, yes, anything for you. And then when there's a backlash, they said, well, this feature was already in the works. This is already in the works.
I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. And there was also, someone out there fact check me on this. I think there's also a thing going on where that functionality still exists, but you have to be a premium subscriber. So it's now behind a paywall.
Yeah, you didn't need it beforehand. If you were behind the paywall, if you subscribe to Spotify, you could listen to an album fully. They did kind of mess with it a little bit not that long ago, but if you were just the free option, you weren't listening to anything in any order. They were just tossing music at you, and you'd have to deal with it.
This is crazy. I just feel like if this is really the case, like I was saying earlier, is it a slippery slope? You know, who has the last say? Is it just going to be, you know, ever changing with whoever calls the shots, or is it going to be specific to said artist? You know, because you said that this is something that is program wide.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
So do we know why it was existed to begin with? Because me as I would say I'm in the upper 5% echelon of music listening out of people in the world. I have no use for that feature.
The shuffle album?
Yeah, when
either.
I play like a song and it like, I don't know, I put on Evil Empire, I start with, you know, People of the Sun, and then it goes to Year of the Boomerang. It's like, I'd be like, what the hell is this?
No, and I'm the same way. The only thing that I do differently is I'll occasionally ask, and I use Apple Music, but you can do this anywhere. You could ask the platform to just shuffle everything you have, but if you're listening to an album, you don't want it shuffled. I want it the way the artist intended it. And the album's dying a little bit as far as this goes. Our generation loves it still. I think you go the next generation down, the younger generation's a little bit less involved in full album listens. There's people that do, but not everybody. So they were just getting away with it for this long. But a heavy hitter says, no, I want you to listen to it in the way I sequence it on purpose. And they perk up and listen. That's a good thing.
You just brought up something that kind of got my gear spinning. Basically, the new generation, so not us, because we're old now, unfortunately.
Yep.
We listen to things the way they're presented, but maybe this is more of a initiative for a generation that has, and this is no offense to the new generation, but an attention span that's so small that shuffle is the only way that keeps it kind of, I don't know, interesting and not, verbatim. So it's, I don't know, I want to hear it on shuffle. I want to hear it, on my time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just keep going back to, it depends on the album. I mean, an album like Adele where it's autobiographical, yeah, you better put it out the way I intended it or you're not going to have it. And I think she has the power to do that. It's like, a movie, or documentary. Like it was intended to be watched in a certain order. Without the order, you kind of lose some of the essence. The documentary, you'd probably lose a lot of it. But like a hip-hop album, your run-of-the-mill hip-hop album, yeah, shuffle works, I'm sure. Album like this, nah.
You're right. That's a good point. It really does depend on the music. And if it's something that's trying to tell a story, then you want to hear it the way that the artist intended it. If it's something that's just, here's a bunch of songs that we put together and it's maybe not necessarily a through line, then it doesn't really matter if it's shuffle or not.
It also brings me to, I can't remember what band. I know with Tool for one, you pulled up that kind of rearranged set list, or not set list.
Lateralis. It's called Holy Gift.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I can think of where this is, they're trying to avoid that for whatever reason because they're trying to tell a story in sequence as a band.
Or Kanye, right? I mean, we had Spose on episodes 82 and 3, and we talked about how Donda would be different in a few weeks, and sure enough, Donda's different.
Oh, true.
Right? He released it again, like the deluxe, and stuff's in different order a little bit. And yeah, I mean, that was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen then, but it did happen. And it depends on the artist. It depends on the art.
I just thought of something. I thought of an angle why Spotify would do this. Now, what I'm going to say will work for the casual fan. It won't work for like the nerds. But a casual fan who puts on an album and they listen to a song and they're done with that song, Spotify, by shuffling, then dictates the next song. They could go to the next most popular song and get them to stay. Where if the
Yep.
So it's fucking shady, man. This is radio. I mean, it's basically radio.
Essentially, yeah. Like, who's in charge? They are, because it's their platform, and you see those massive playlists, and every week stuff gets put out, and they're like, "Hey, check out this new song by this new massive artist," and some of the other stuff that maybe people want to see get a little bit of shine doesn't always get that, because they're not going to get the millions of spins that Post Malone or Drake or whoever are going to get.
This is becoming a nerd conspiracy episode, because now I'm thinking, is Spotify playing the ballads depending on your mood because of whatever you're surfing on the net at that time? They're like, oh, no, this guy or this chick, what she want, they want the slow song.
Sketchy. Get away from that. I don't want them knowing that, man. I'm like, I don't want them to know what my mood is when I'm putting music on. Although they could probably tell by the music I'm playing.
Spotify adware.
Here's what's going to confuse him. My avatar in the metaverse is going to like opera. So
nice. Your favorite. Yeah, you're a Pavarotti fan.
All right. We could go on all night about that piece of it. There's a whole nother Adele storyline, right? And you hinted, Tone. She's the vinyl industry. She's basically taking it over. She's taking all the supply, right? Another
supply chain shutdown, which, I mean, you probably have heard enough of that the last month or so. But yeah, she in hopes for people buying her record on vinyl for Christmas, has kind of monopolized the vinyl production game over the last handful of months. So a lot of indie artists, smaller artists, even maybe not indie, maybe medium-sized big label, can't get stuff done because this massive push for Adele 30 to be on vinyl for the world to buy for Christmas and Hanukkah is upon us. So yeah, if you can't get the record you want from the band that, a new band, you may not see that stuff till next summer now, probably just because of it, which is kind of wild.
I've heard even later.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but like the band Census Fail, who is on Pure Noise, they just posted a single for an album that comes out in like June. And I immediately went to, okay, maybe are they waiting till the vinyl's available? I don't know, but that's like 7 months. That seems like a long time, but
it's a long time.
Yeah, she basically like it was like 500,000 copies of that album. I mean, that's going to monopolize plants for. I mean, I don't know what the throughput or output is on those plants, but man, that's no joke.
That's crazy. It really is. Because I call my local record store all the day, just trying to get legacy artist stuff. And he's like, oh no, even the Beatles are on back order. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I can't get, the repress from last year. And the rep is telling me 12 months plus on basic Beatles records. So I don't really know how this works with Adele to push out someone as big as the Beatles, but it is more recent. It's fascinating. I have no idea. Big money for sure.
Yeah, she's in charge of the game right now. So bow down to Queen Adele, and this storm will pass, and we'll hopefully have. I mean, we need to have more vinyl plants, right? There was one, I think, didn't they have an issue at one, a fire or something, not that long ago, like maybe a little over a year ago in Tennessee, that kind of obviously slowed everything down there too, and yeah, it's an industry that's overrun, obviously for good reason. It's nerdery reasons for us. We love that stuff, but to not have, pressings for your mid-levels and even your independent artists who, they rely on fans buying the physical media to stay afloat as bands. That's trouble.
This is even a storyline, like vinyl being only limited to a certain few plants even before this. There was a supply chain crunch even before this. Like I remember reading an article that was like the days of the $20 record are over. And it's like, well, you don't even see many of those now. No, you're up in Gatefold's $30.
Yeah.
But like, this is almost a segue into Would You Rather, but like, would you spend $40 on a new non-album it's like a new album that's not Gatefold?
Ooh, I might have a hard time with that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's what it's going to be, but I've read that prices are going up.
Yep.
Man, I mean, this would be less conflicting if we didn't like Adele, because you said, Adele might be the best voice in the game. Like, I love Adele; she's one of my all-time favorites. So it's like, if I didn't like her, this would be more controversial. But it's like, I really do like her as an artist. So
yeah, should she be penalized because she's good? Like, hey, you can't get all these albums pressed, but there'll be a demand for those. Like, that's an album that I would consider getting on wax. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, you're right. She shouldn't be penalized for being the talent that she is and the way that things have gone for her, or because she's talented and because the music's good. It's not like we said at the beginning of this. It's because the music is good. If the music is good, all these things can happen. If it's not, it's tough. Now you get set into kind of that perpetual motion of the same 4 or 5 artists get the pub, but the music is good and people connect to it and they listen to it. That's the reason.
yeah, I guess this is obviously a little sidebar, but I think that's why NFTs are becoming so big, right? Because now that supply shortage is like, what's the alternate? So NFT as an indie band or even a legacy act that for whatever reason got edged out on a vinyl release, because that is kind of like the one tangible item that is the ultimate collectible. So next to that, or parallel to that, really is an NFT. So, and I'm sure Adele will do that too. So she's just monopolizing.
Oh yeah, there'll be Adele NFTs. There'll be NFTs that coming out of NFTs that we don't even, no one wants, but they're going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to see them everywhere.
Yeah, and it's that I love that in the digital space, but it's also sad because I don't think I mean, could you see anyone standing up a vinyl pressing plant? It's like it's so cost prohibitive. Like, I don't know. I think this is going to get worse before ever it gets better.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Unless Podioslave crowdfund something, we get some seed money.
We would love to do that. I mean, we've talked about that behind the scenes a little bit, but
yeah,
obviously we don't have the pull like Adele right now. Maybe someday.
Yeah. I was going to say yet.
All right, that seems like a good transition into. So we're going Would You Rather. I think everyone knows what Would You Rather is. I mean, it's we take option A, take option B, and I think we brought a few to the table. We didn't tell each other. In typical Podioslave fashion, we're going to be as surprised as everyone else. Hey, and you know what? Play along at home with us. Give us your opinion. That's part of this. And we like this to be interactive. Hit us up on socials. I am us. Is I am still a thing?
Yeah. On Instant
Messenger.
Sure.
Hit us up there. Yeah. Yep. And hit up our MySpace too, or Friendster.
Yeah, you can find us on all of those platforms and then some.
LiveJournal, maybe. LiveJournal is the new story.
Yeah. Hang on, I gotta set my away message. I'm podding with the boys tonight.
Oh man, the away message Mackin game back in the day, man.
Yeah, teach me your ways, Nate.
I know. I need to learn from Nate. 16-year-old me needs to learn from 16-year-old Nate right now.
The year was 1999. My away message always had music lyrics, and I would just milk that shit.
Yep.
And you named your was it friend list? Your friend list guilty parties.
Oh yeah,
Rage Against the Machine tribute. I remember.
Oh, that's great. That's a tangent to start off.
Wow.
Start off a segment, which only we can do, I think, right?
And you know what? If you know what the guilty parties is in the context of Rage, then you read your liner notes, and you're one of us. That's
so good. I forgot all about that.
I forgot about that, and that's why I love that Anthony remembered that, because I completely forgot about that. But I'm gonna try to log in and see who's on there.
Oh, I do think Instant Messenger has died. I think the service to the platform went away a couple of years ago, unfortunately.
Ah, fuck. I was gonna say it could be the new Twitter.
Yeah. So if we can only leave away messages on Twitter, oh wait, we do, and then people just tweet over it and it goes away. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Simpler times.
All right, I'm ready to jump right in. No pun intended.
Yeah, 12. Give us one. Let's go.
I want to start us off with a bang. This was like, I don't even know how the fuck I thought of this one. I'll try my best to frame it. So, would you rather get a new Rage record, but you have to sacrifice Chino leaving the Deftones and they bring in a new guy? Option A. Or no Rage record and Chino stays with the Deftones. So new Rage record at the expense of Chino. These are totally unrelated things, but we love both of them. So I'm hitting on your heartstrings here, pulling on your heartstrings.
Oh, boy.
Coming from you, this is the ultimate nerd question, and it's great because it's like, it is.
It's like, have you eaten enough from the Deftones Thanksgiving feast to the extent that you'd sacrifice that for a new Rage record. And the Rage record could suck.
Right?
You know? So
I mean,
it's a tough one.
It's not gonna, but right? I think I would rather, honestly, it's something you said a couple weeks ago on the pod, Twan, and I think I'd rather leave Chino where he is and leave Rage where they are, and I think I'm okay with it, which is sacrilegious to say, but yeah, I want Chino to stay with the Deftones. No new Rage record. Sorry, world.
I was going to reference Twan's quote about that recently too, which is the legacy that is Rage Against the Machine is very much so stuck in the 90s. And the messages are relevant today, but it's definitely a time and place in terms of when they wrote it. The message basically transcends and actually is very relevant today. So I'm a little divided on this because if they were to put out a new record, it would speak volumes on what's going on in the world today. I mean, I would assume it would be multiple albums, and that's probably where I'm going is I don't think it would be one album. If they're going to put out one, they might as well just go back.
Oh, in this hypo scenario, it's one album, Nate. Come on. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Ah, damn. I was hoping there was some gray area. Chino leaving the Deftones. I'm just putting a little context here. Chino's pretty old now. I think he's in his mid 40s.
Late 40s.
How long can he sustain that singing style, which is very aggressive for that age? But he still writes really well. The band is still very tight. I don't think he does any kind of voice tracking. So it's literally like he's on it still. So I came close to saying Chino leaving, but it's like what you said the other day really is really, truly transcendent. So I'm going to say, yeah, Rage, no new album, Chino stays. That seems to be the best of both worlds for today, at least.
If Chino leaves the Deftones, does he stop making music altogether?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Oh, geez. That's like a whole like game theory thing. Like thinking a few decisions ahead. He's done with music. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I'm definitely sticking with my answer then.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gray area questions, you have to do it because he could just put a Deftones 2.0 band.
Well, what if we get another Team Sleep record, or we could get, he's been in a bunch of different stuff. So if we could get something else that also is kind of scratches that itch a little bit, we'd be okay with it. But if he's just gone from music altogether, I mean, I don't want to lose Deftones 2 for one Rage record. That might not be good. Who knows?
Right. So I agree. Yeah, I agree. How I was thinking about it is you don't know if the Rage record is going to be good or bad. So that's one thing. But then two, if he leaves and they bring in some other guy, like it almost ruins that because if he left, it wasn't on good terms, right? So then it's like it could potentially tarnish the legacy there too. So I think the safe decision is keep it as it is. But I thought it was fun. I just try to think of two bands that we both ride for and think of one that we were jonesing for a new album. And obviously Rage came up. So
two house bands.
Yep.
Certified and nerdified.
Yeah. That's a good one to kick us off. I like that.
Really? My gears are still spinning. I'm still spinning. Because once you said retired from music completely, it changed my next question, which was going to be, he leaves the band, we get a Rage record, 2 years lapse, and then Chino returns, kind of like a Tom DeLonge comes back to Blink type thing.
Hey, how about this?
Chino joins Rage Against the Machine.
No, Zach joins Deftones.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Shit. Deftones slave.
Oh, man.
Audio tones.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, yep.
I would probably dig that. Oh, man.
One day as a Deftone. Which is talking about One Day as a Lion, which was a Zach De La Rocca project, I think.
Yeah.
Middle 2000s?
Yep.
Team Rage.
Yeah. All right, good one. Good one to start.
All right, let's go to the next one before I bring up Prophets of Rage. No.
Yeah, we could do this forever. This forever. I'll go. You guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you rather
bum, 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 bum.
listen to the best album by an abjectly terrible band, or listen to the worst album by a good band, maybe a great band, for 24 hours on loop, couldn't listen to anything else?
All right. Can we give an example like Creed's Human Clay or Saint Anger or something like,
right.
Okay.
So the one that got me going on this, the idea that how this came about was Nate sent us a picture the other night, and I got to thinking about Red Hot Chili Peppers. And if you've seen our socials, I think maybe that we posted that picture. If not, it's coming. But cool poster, a cool photo of Nate and somebody very famous that we all have heard of and love. The band Red Hot Chili Peppers put out the album One Hot Minute. Now I think it's a decent album, and if that's the maybe down album from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and I've got to listen to that for 24 hours, okay, I could do that. But you're right, maybe it's the best album by, just like Two Skinny Jays or something. I'm just throwing something out there. I don't know if they're terrible or not, but just a band that was never on the level of, say, Red Hot Chili Peppers or Deftones or whatever. And you have to listen to their quote unquote best album for 24 hours on loop. No skipping, no changing. You're stuck with it. Which one do you choose?
I'm going to go band that sucks best album because I probably didn't wear it out, that it's still somewhat new to me. So after 24 hours, I'm still like, at least I got through the 24 hours.
Nice. But maybe by the end of those 24 hours, you just never want to listen to music again because they've ruined it for you.
Oh yeah. Pull a Chino, be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go the opposite because I think you could have fun with a good band's worst album and like almost kind of pick it apart and try to like, I don't know. I often try to like put myself on the cutting room floor. Like, they thought this was good. What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Like how did they named it that? Like, how much drugs were these guys on? I think you'd almost have fun with that. Where a band who's like, known as being terrible, like, they're, well, I guess in both scenarios they're trying, right?
Yeah,
you'd like to think.
Right.
You'd like to think.
Right.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go good band, shitty album, and have fun with it.
In terms of the case study, like I'm going to dissect this
Exactly.
24 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you, Twan, just because you're right. I think there's going to be something in that bad album that you might like because you like the band. The band is good. So doing that is probably the better move. But it could also be fun to listen to a really bad band's like C because it's a C plus or whatever, because that's just the level that they could reach. They couldn't do any better and be like, wow, well, that actually isn't terrible. Like, all right, cool. You're right. I haven't listened to that much. The other thing that I thought of when coming up with this question was, would you pick one that was really long or one that was really short? So you could, if it was an hour and a half, like, okay, you're only going to listen to it, 20 times, maybe less than that, 18 times. But if it's 36 minutes, you're stuck with it for a 50 time. You know what I mean? Like that's tough.
So let's go then. Let's
Yeah, exactly.
You hear that 40 times.
Exactly. Yeah, take me higher.
What is it? Fly, Marlins, fly.
Oh, Marlins will soar. Come on.
Yeah, drink if you had that on your Podioslave bingo card. That's like the second time that song's come up, I think.
It has, yep.
Oh man, we need to get Stapp on here someday.
I'd talk to Stapp. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Ask him about the peanut incident.
Oh, true. Yeah. We got an in.
Or an out.
Or an out, yeah.
One or the other, yeah. So yeah, that was my first one. That was a good one.
That's a great one.
So Nate, you said
very good one.
Bad band's good album, and Twan and I said good band's bad album.
Yep.
All right, I like it. Does it change if it's a month straight?
Ooh, damn. Now you're asking.
I got all kinds of like avenues we could go with this one.
Is it February and is it a leap year? Because that.
Yeah, right. All right, Nate, what do you got?
Wow, we're off to a great start. This one actually rewinds back to our set list item, and it's pretty simple, but it'll probably get both your gears spinning. Would you rather own a record store franchise / chain or a vinyl press? The reason I say chain / franchise is because vinyl press is a pretty big deal. So it's not just one independent record store. It's like Amoeba Music type thing. So one or the other, both of which are pretty lucrative.
That is a good one in that it's very tough. My wheels are spinning.
Nerd.
Mine too.
I'm going to say the vinyl pressing plant just because there's so many barriers to entry in that. Unless you have, obviously, money is the barrier. But so if you have one in hand, you will always be in demand. Because vinyl, I don't care if NFTs are here to stay, which they are. Vinyl ain't going away because you can't put an NFT on your record player.
Right.
Your physical record player. Yeah, there'll be some hologram that projects light and sound and breaks the sound barrier or something. So I'm going vinyl plant because you'd always be in business.
I like that. I'm going the opposite direction.
Ooh.
I want to own the record store because I want to have Paul McCartney play a la Mark Weinstein on episode 7 of our podcast. Go way back to episode 7, talking about having artists come through and play in his independent record store. So I would want that. I would want to be
that's a good angle.
putting together those types of record store days and signings and people coming in to play music, and that all that stuff would be. I mean, you'd have to be in the right venue, right? You'd have to be in LA, or New York or something, those bigger cities. But yeah, I think that would be the route that I would go for that. Now you're right. I think security wise, the other option is the better option. But as far as like getting to see nerdery unfold, that's the way I would go.
Can I change my answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a very dynamic question, right? Because the record store, you still get kind of like proximity to vinyl. Obviously, you're selling it. You're also getting it in abundance from multiple labels. So you have that at your fingertips as well. All the fringe benefits you're talking about, live performances, all the swag, all the promotional stuff I collect personally, posters especially. In stores is definitely something that I never thought would come back. So the fact that Amoeba Music in particular is doing in stores again is really cool to see post-COVID or during COVID or whatever you want to say. Yeah, but your point is also very valid, Twan, in terms of, demand for pressed records is not going anywhere, at least in our eyes, because we ride for it hard. We'll buy vinyl till we pass away. Is that really the case with the current music listener, a la Spotify, like we were kind of alluding to earlier? I don't know. I mean, are they buying vinyl? I know that the Taylor Swift signed albums, which are on CD, are selling like hotcakes. Is vinyl like I have no idea. I actually don't know. I'm actually guessing. Like, is someone in their 20s or teens, like, are they buying wax? I don't know. I think it's really 30 plus, right?
I think it's all over the map.
I think it's everybody. Yeah. I think they're.
I mean, look at the acts that are pressing records. They go to Walmart. I mean, it's all pop acts, and that's not all old people buying those.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few of us doing it though too.
Oh yeah. Oh totally.
Yeah.
That's a good one, Nate. I like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Which one did you pick? I forget. I'm sorry.
Me?
Yeah. Did you pick one?
I didn't pick one. I think I'm going to pick one right now, though.
Yeah, you should give us your answer.
I'm going to go vinyl press as well, because I've always been big into manufacturing. I've worked at mainly in the alcohol business, distilleries, wineries, breweries. I love seeing something kind of come out of nowhere, like, from grain to finished product. I love that whole process. So I think because of that, I would go vinyl press. And, you kind of validated it, Twan, with the fact that demand's not going anywhere. Like if you wanted to start up a vinyl press today, like Jack White did in like early 2010s or whatever, like, that your business plan will succeed. It's not a matter of, will this work? It's really like, yes, please put these together, because like, there's just not enough plants. In fact, the equipment doesn't even get manufactured anymore, similar to car plants in Detroit. Like, it's kind of it was a dying industry. So they actually threw out all the equipment to even mold the parts. So that's why, is a little nerd tidbit, but that's why there's so few vinyl press plants, is because the equipment to make the vinyl press was like thrown in a landfill. So like, they have no way to, replicate these machines to make the actual end product. So I would go vinyl press in that sense. But the record store thing I was like right on the cusp, because it's like, well, dude, then you get like free shit all the time. And like, that industry is not going anywhere either. Everyone wants, at least, if you're not selling records, you can sell t-shirts. It's kind of like an endless.
I was just going to say that, where you can pivot. Record store, you can pivot much quicker than the plant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you go back and listen to that interview we had with Mark, he says it. He's like, I love walking into the store and like, there's stuff down the right aisle, there's stuff down the left aisle, and I'm just kind of in it. This is awesome. Yeah. And I mean, that's why we frequent them. That's why I love that stuff.
Yeah. No, that's fascinating. I actually, another sidebar, I had a talk with a guy here in San Diego about 2 days ago, because I'm always looking for posters. I still collect posters. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for these 4 posters. You used to have them like literally like 6 months ago. You don't have them anymore. And he told me the whole gamut on some of these posters I'm looking for, which are like rare UK import posters for legacy acts. And he says the reason those come in is they're coming from Europe and they're bootleg posters, but they're not bootlegs in Europe. So they come on a freight across, on a container to Long Beach, and then to my record store through some like random rep that comes in with a box of posters. It's like totally, it's not illegal, but it's not legal. It's kind of like the gray area. And that's the only way to do it because the supply chain issues that are going on with container ships. A lot of these things are just so backed up. They're not priority. It's like a bootleg poster compared to like produce or whatever. So these posters I've been looking for that, average like $6.99 are, going for like $70 because you just can't get the poster. Let alone it's not licensed in the States. And how it works in the States is a band like Led Zeppelin, for instance, you have a company that buys the licensee for X amount of years to be able to literally tap Led Zeppelin on anything from a coaster to a t-shirt to a sticker for an X amount of years. Think of it as a sponsorship for like a venue like Staples Center, which is now going to be like the Crypto Center or something like that. So you own the rights for a certain amount of years. So that's how it works in the States, but that stuff's usually pretty generic. The really cool stuff is the bootleg stuff, the Europe stuff, the black and white prints that are actually usually from a pretty well-known photographer like our guest Lance Mercer. So it's a little controversial because it's bootleg, but it's legal in Europe. So super sidebar, super kind of tangent, but I just found this out a few days ago. I thought it was really cool.
I was just gonna say, how did we get here?
Well, the thing is, you wouldn't have a rep like that coming into a vinyl pressing plant, so there's more variety.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I'm changing my answer. I'm record store all day, and if it's a chain, hell yeah.
Yeah, then you're really making money, man.
All right.
How'd we get here, Tone? It's because I'm always nerding. We're always nerding. Right?
That's true. That is true.
Always be nerding.
When you're mentioning Lance Mercer prints, and I'm like, there's three of them over my shoulder. I can see them right now.
Exactly.
That we are always nerding. And you mentioned getting into posters. You guys have kind of gotten me into posters. I've got 311 one right here.
Nice. Is that the one I got you?
City and Color one's right behind me. Yeah, there's.
Nice.
I love that shit, and to be able to have it all around in my record store, yeah, I'm in. That's what I want.
I know, right?
Bringing it full circle back to the actual would you rather. I want the record store.
Man. All right.
All right, Twan. What do you got?
All right. So this is it's a from this day forward would you rather. It doesn't change anything that happened in the history. And this is for this does not apply to live music. So new music. Would you rather eliminate guitars from all new music moving forward or vocals in all new music moving forward?
I had a similar one.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I had a similar one to this. So we'll do yours obviously because you went first. But man, I think early on I would have told you let's eliminate guitars. And actually, I think I'm still going to say that because you still have bass, right? You still have drums.
Yep.
So there's a lot that can be done with that still. I mean, we love the bassist here at Podioslave. You can totally put together some pretty awesome music with vocals, bass, and drums. So I'm going to go with removing guitars, and it hurts because I love the guitar, but that's my answer.
Good answer. Well described as well, because I think I have similar sentiment. A guitar can also be replicated similar to a drum machine through an electronic.
Oh, no cheating here. Any guitar sound.
No guitar.
Any guitar sound. Ah, okay. Yeah, you got to
loophole Nate tonight. How many Rage records am I getting out of this 3-year deal?
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to really dissect it, right? Because there's just so much gray area. Yeah, I'm going to go vocals over guitar, mainly because I like to hear the story verbatim. I like to hear it through an actual, through our language. Guitar is a different language, obviously. And I think you can kind of translate that however you want. But vocals, written words, spoken word, I love literature. I've always been into creative writing. It's one of my hobbies. I write. So I appreciate that art form because
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, just, random stuff, journal entries and stuff.
I've known Nate 20 something years and I did not know that about Nate.
Well, nerd notes, right? Nerd notes.
Nerd notes. Here we are, boys. Here we are. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're learning stuff about each other tonight.
So, but I don't play guitar, so I don't appreciate it on that same level. So, yeah, for that reason, I would say guitar. Spoken word.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page here. This was, for me, an easier one than the others. Where it could get interesting is if you eliminated either of these in the live show too. And even then, I would keep vocals, just like,
yeah,
because you can replicate other sounds. You'll never have that guitar sound coming out of something else. Bass is probably the closest, but vocals, man, that's where songs are. That's, to me, the harmony and the melody is where it's at. And if a guy's up there going a cappella, I ain't mad at that.
That was actually mine. Would you rather all instrumentals from here on out or a cappella from here on out?
Actually, that's a better question. Yeah.
Because that's tough. I mean, we don't have to do that one. That was my similar one to this. So, yeah, think about that one, pod heads out there. Let us know what you think. So we're all going to go with Bye Bye Guitar. That's sad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll survive.
Man, Greg's going to think we're stupid.
I know. This is coming from the guys
sellouts.
that just did the Shreducation episode with Greg. All right, I got one for you. So this is from now on, right? Everything that we know right now has happened. We know that all the music that we love is the music that we love. But would you rather from now on, every time you put on a record, it was somebody else covering the music you loved, or every time you put on a record of a band you loved, it was them just doing cover songs?
Oh, this is great. This is awesome. Oh man, the juices
like you sit
are
down,
flowing.
you put on Evil Empire, and it's just some randos doing Evil Empire songs.
All right, gun to head, I want the band that I'm putting on doing covers, because actually using Rage, Renegade's brilliant. I'd rather have that than some schlub band covering Evil Empire.
This is such a complex question.
No, it's simple, man. I just gave you the answer.
Well, because Rage is so specific, so it's like Rage is one of a kind. But it's
right.
Blink 182 covering Rage. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
They could be covering Rage. They could be covering Taylor Swift. They could be covering anybody. The problem is you put on Enema of the State and you just get Mark, Tom, and Travis singing, Post Malone's Rockstar. It's not the same. It's not what you were looking for. And every time you do that, you think you're getting that record and you're not. You're going to get covers from that band, but covers.
It's like another case study thing where it's like, nice, now I get to hear these songs as new renditions, but you never really get to go back to the basics, which is like tough. Fuck, man. This is like not easy. This is
pick one. What's your gut say?
I'm going to go, I guess, original. Fuck. I'm going to agree with Twan. Yeah.
You want to hear the covers of the bands you like? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's tough. That's like a really like,
No, you want to hear the band you like covering something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yeah. If you were, right. If you put on the other version of this and you threw on, Deftones White Pony, and it was just some rando band covering White Pony, that wouldn't be as good, right? That just wouldn't be as good.
Yeah.
It'd be those songs, which we know and love, but we'd be like, wow, who is doing this terrible knockoff version of, Passenger?
Would you have any input?
It's not Maynard.
Would you have any?
No.
No.
No, zero.
Yeah.
Nah. Now, if you had input, that's a different story, right? I like that. That would make things a little more interesting, intriguing. I might even take option B, knowing what we know, but yeah, option A. I think I'm in agreement with you guys. I want to hear covers from bands I like, as opposed to randos doing the bands I like songs.
We get that anyway, right? You go on YouTube and there's a cover of every song ever made.
Oh my god!
But we get to choose that.
That's true.
That's also true. Yeah,
it's a choice. Man, it's a loaded question. I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight from that question.
Sorry.
Nate's gonna put on records expecting to hear something else. He's gonna.
Yeah.
Why isn't it working?
Another wrinkle for that is you don't know it until the songs start.
Oh god damn.
The opposite.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna go crazy.
Yeah, like literally go crazy. But it's an interesting question because there's so many songs that I want to hear bands that I love cover. So it's like very dynamic in that way, So yeah. Man, would you rather? All right, I got one. Another nerd question, very nerd-esque. This one relates to the live music scene, which we all very much so love. Would you rather own a club venue or a theater? Now these are differential. These are the differentiator here is basically capacity, I guess you'd say, for the most part. Other than that, I guess permitting. Like I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on what the differences are, but I think you guys kind of know what I'm talking about here. You're kind of catching bands as they're coming up, or you're getting bands that are somewhat established rolling through. So you get wide net or you get small net, but you get small net, you get all the stuff before it blows up. And you still gonna get some shows that still roll through, even legacy.
I know my answer.
I know my answer too. It's probably the same. Go ahead, Twan.
All right. I'm going to go club because obviously you get people on the way up. You get people that tier fits them, but then you also get like the Metallicas coming back, like Colburn said, you know, small venue, although it's probably a bad example, but you get the bigger acts doing the club stuff. Now on the flip side, the theater, you really just get that tier. You're not going to get the small acts in those venues because they can't fill them. So I almost feel in a way maybe the net's bigger on the club.
That's where I disagree with you.
And what part of it?
At the theater, you get the established act, but who is supporting those established acts? Those bands on the way up, baby. So I get both. Man. I'm taking the theater because of that, right? I want the theater because I get the small bands that are maybe they snapped on with whoever. Queens of the Stone Age is doing a club tour, and you get them first, and that's a theater tour, and then you get them first. So that's what I would want. I would want those small bands coming up with the established bands at the theater size.
Very important question to ask. Is there a barricade at the theater?
Yes.
Ooh, okay.
You're right. You're right, because the club there may not be. They're like milling around in the crowd, and that's the cool part about being at a club show is you're kind of rubbing elbows.
Although this is owning, so as an owner, I want a barricade for the liability. Yep. Like
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Geez, Tone, can I come to your side of the table again?
Yep, you can.
You get that chalky milk, the cafeteria mac and cheese over there for me?
I know Yanni doesn't listen, but he did say I should have been a lawyer, and he is right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's your answer?
Brain's working.
That's your answer? I agree.
Nate's answer is he agrees. All right, next one. No. What's your answer, Nate?
Well, you really you added some very important context to it. But before you even mentioned that, when I wrote it down, I always went with theater, and it wasn't because of what you said, but mainly because those legacy acts. Let's say the club capacity stops at 300, 400, but the theater venue starts at 500, goes to 2,500. Like it's so close to when the crossover begins that the legacy act most likely is not even going to pick the club because they're like, well, we're pretty small. Like playing a theater is still kind of like a special engagement. And then you added to, kind of added the cherry to the top of this with the legacy acts you want to see are going to be the support to the legacy act and or up and coming act or act that's killing it these days, and they have a legacy act support act kind of tagging along or whatever. I'm also a sucker for just really nice theaters. Like I love, and we talked about this at length, that I go to theaters sometimes seeing shows that I'm like half a fan of, just wanting to check out the actual venue itself, because a lot of them were built in like the 1920s, so the architecture is very Art Deco, and it's just super cool to be in a lot of times a state protected landmark, which during COVID, especially, we all thought that a lot of these venues were just screwed. Like they were basically not going to survive. And with corporate America, kind of on this nonstop takeover, that theaters were really just a thing of the past, and we were lucky to ever be in them. Clubs, it's like, well, yeah, they don't really have the same kind of legacy, with the exception of maybe something like CBGBs. And one, I know you went to Chain Reaction in the OC and stuff like that. But theaters, they were like legitimate theaters where they had from the 1920s, ballet performances and stuff. And now they're hosting Mastodon. It's just insanity.
Or our state theater, which was a porn theater for a part of its existence, and is now also hosting Mastodon.
Yeah. So the history element for me is very important. So I would go theater over club for really just that reason. And everything else that comes along with it is a bonus.
Nice. Well reasoned. I think that's a good take. I mean, these are awesome. I love this. We could do this all night long.
Actually, can we get one more? Can we get one more Tone question?
Yeah.
You got one on deck?
Ooh, I do.
All right. Yeah. No. This is good.
I got a bunch. Yeah.
This one came from my wife. Actually, we were talking about it while we were making dinner. rock bands from the 2000s, but they only played 80s music, or 80s bands from the 1980s, but they only played 2000s rock music. Which one would you rather have?
All right, so I'm just talking this out loud. You're talking what would be like 2000s rock bands maybe playing hair metal, or 80s bands playing like, could be like the Strokes. Exactly. It's exactly what I thought of. Ooh, 2000s playing 80s all day.
Yep.
Because I think I never really got into that whole Strokes, Hives, like the British Invasion revival or whatever you'd call that. I never really got into that, but I love 80s music.
Nate?
Yeah, I'm pretty much immediately. I'm going to agree with Twan on this one. I wanted to kind of, change it up a little bit, but that's my first instinct is right in line with what Twan said.
Argue with me, Nate. Come on.
I want to. We're in the same.
Can I make it harder? Can I make it harder for everybody?
Yeah, please.
90s bands doing 80s music, or 80s bands doing 90s music.
Oh, dude, you know where my answer is. That's when it changes.
But that makes it harder.
That's when it flips back to the other way around, because I'm a 90s addict.
So you want 90s bands playing hair metal?
Well, it's because the 80s is more than hair metal. It's all sorts of different styles. You got the cars.
Yeah, there's some new wave, and
Yep. Lots of great stuff from the 80s.
So what would you pick though? Would you want to keep the Eddie Vedder playing Poison, or would you want Poison playing Pantera or Pearl Jam?
Now that you put Poison in the picture, it changes. Because I was going to say
like I don't want anything to do with that band. So
I was going to say like, Pearl Jam playing Talking Heads or something. I'd be like all in, But you say Poison, I'm like,
I picked
how about Pearl Jam doing Flock of Seagulls? Actually, Eddie could pull that off.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, anything 90s, I'm always going to say yes. So
you're sticking with the 90s bands doing the 80s music.
When you add that layer, I flip back to the other side. Right. Yeah.
I'm 80s bands all day for the first one. For the second one, I think I'm with you, Nate. I think I want the 90s bands playing the 80s music.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Shouts to Jess for that one. She gave us that one.
That's a good one. Yeah. But it's interesting when you bring the actual certain band up, it really gets your brain in like a hyper funk. Like, man, Alice in Chains playing fucking Motley Crue, like some band.
There could be some fun ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And I mean, there are, I'm sure, examples of that everywhere. But I'm just saying, you don't get any of the 90s music, but you get all those bands playing hair metal, right? Or new wave or whatever.
It's just 80s, right? It's not like the style. So it's like Rage Against the Machine covering Boy George or playing Boy George.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow, this would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys remember like the punk goes 80s, punk goes pop, punk goes acoustic, all those like. There's a lot of junk on those. Like it never really, not never, but a lot of times it just doesn't work. Yeah. Like there's a reason that they came out in different decades, and then there's different styles of music. That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess. She'll be hearing this at some point, so thank you.
Yeah, it makes me very thankful that music is coming out the way that it is. Really, it's like, oh, nice. Happy Rage is Rage and not Rage by Boy George.
Right? That'd be funny. Killing in the Name by Culture Club. All right.
Limp Bizkit's Faith by
wait, that actually
by
happened.
Wham. No.
Yeah, right. Wait a second. How is George Michael doing Faith?
Wait, that's a cover?
That's his song. Yeah, that's his song. Now my head's in a pretzel.
I know. Now the smoke's coming out of my ears. Like,
does George Michael do the screaming part because he has to? Yeah, so that's how that works.
Does he have to have a terrible voice now?
Yeah. Did he just drop an album? Still sucks. Okay. All right, we're done here. All right, guys. Thank you everybody for checking out Podioslave Podcast episode 90. We are thankful. I know this is a couple of days after Thanksgiving, but we are thankful for all of you. We are thankful for all the people that support us and allow us to do this. And we got another 90 in us, hopefully, and then some. So rate, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It goes a long way for us. And if you like what you hear, hit us up on the socials too.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, guests. Thank you, wives, for giving us all the content. Yeah, we love it. We're going to keep at it. Keep listening. We love you guys.
Well said. Thankful for everything. Thankful for you guys. Thankful for a platform to do a podcast and geek out like we do, and all the years of great music and great times that luckily weren't Would You Rather, and they were the way they were, so we could appreciate them in their truest form. So I never thought I'd ever say this, but thank you to the fans. We actually have fans out there that listen to us every week. So it's been a blast. And like you said, Twan, we're going to keep going. So
see ya.
Peace, potheads.